Have you ever received a piece of advice from an elderly person that completely changed the way you see life? Sometimes, a simple sentence, spoken with the weight of experience, can illuminate the path ahead like a guiding light. The elderly are not just storytellers. They are living libraries, filled with invaluable lessons shaped by time and resilience. Imagine an old man who has weathered the storms of life, from his youthful ambitions to the quiet wisdom of his golden years. Every wrinkle on his face tells a story of hardship endured, of victories won, and of love cherished. These life lessons are not found in textbooks. They are written in the hearts and minds of those who have truly lived. In today's fast-paced world, we often overlook the greatest source of wisdom, those who have walked the road before us. Their stories, their regrets, and their triumphs hold the keys to a more meaningful and fulfilling life. All we have to do is listen. Join me as we uncover 5 profound life lessons from the wisest among us. If you find these insights valuable, don't forget to like and subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Story to help share these timeless lessons with more people. Now, let's begin with our first story. Time is more precious than gold. Robert, now 85 years old, spent most of his youth chasing success. He worked tirelessly, believing that if he could just earn enough money, he would finally have the time to enjoy life with his family. Later, he always told himself, later he would take his wife on that long-awaited vacation. Later, he would sit with his children and listen to their stories. Later, he would make time for the people who mattered most. But later never came. By the time he retired, his children had grown up and moved away, starting families of their own. His wife, the woman who had once waited patiently for him, had passed away. The house that was once filled with laughter and warmth now echoed with silence. He had gained financial security, but at what cost? Looking back, Robert realized a harsh truth. Money can be earned again, but time, once lost, is gone forever. So what can we learn from his story? Cherish the moments with your loved ones. Today, take that trip, have that conversation, and never postpone joy for an uncertain future. Because in the end, it's not the wealth we accumulate that matters, but the memories we create. How will you spend your time? Speaking of time, our next story reveals another powerful truth. No one is too busy. It's just a matter of priorities. Margaret, a 78-year-old grandmother, had always believed in the power of handwritten letters. Every week, without fail, she would sit by the window, carefully crafting letters to her children and grandchildren. She shared stories from her past, words of wisdom, and gentle reminders of how much she loved them. At first, they responded enthusiastically, sending letters back filled with their own updates and affection. But as the years went by, the replies grew fewer. Life got busy. Work, responsibilities, and the endless distractions of modern life took priority. Eventually, the letters stopped coming altogether. One day, Margaret made a quiet decision. She would stop writing. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, yet no one noticed. It wasn't until she was gone that her family found a drawer filled with unsent letters. Letters she had written but never mailed, still filled with the love she had always given so freely. The painful lesson was clear. People make time for what truly matters to them. If someone cares, they will show it. But relationships, like plants, need nurturing. A simple phone call, a visit, even a short message. Small gestures can mean the world. Who in your life is waiting to hear from you? And just as we must nurture relationships, we must also learn when to let go. This brings us to our next story. True happiness comes from letting go. David had spent his entire life building a successful business, believing that financial security equated to happiness. But when a sudden financial crisis struck, everything crumbled. The business he had poured his heart into was gone. His savings vanished, and the fast-paced city life that once defined him no longer felt like home. With nothing left, he made a drastic decision. He moved to a small cabin in the mountains, far from the noise and expectations of the world. At first, the silence was unbearable. The emptiness weighed on him like a heavy chain, reminding him of all he had lost. But as the days passed, something inside him began to shift. He woke up to the sounds of birds instead of traffic. He spent his mornings watching the sunrise rather than checking stock reports. Slowly, he realized peace had been waiting for him all along. David discovered that happiness isn't about what you own, but how you feel inside. The past no longer defined him. By letting go of what he thought he needed, he found what truly mattered: clarity, simplicity, and a life free from the burdens of regret. What are you holding onto that is keeping you from true peace? Sometimes, moving forward requires not just letting go, but also having the patience to build something new. And that's exactly what our next story teaches us. Patience creates greatness. Helen had always dreamed of becoming an artist. As a child, she would spend hours sketching in the margins of her school books, imagining one day her paintings would hang in a gallery. But life had other plans. Responsibilities took over, raising a family, working to make ends meet, and taking care of others before herself. Her dream was placed on the shelf, collecting dust like an old canvas waiting to be painted. It wasn't until she turned 60 that she finally decided it was time. With trembling hands affected by arthritis, she picked up a brush and dipped it into a world of colors. The first strokes were shaky, the lines uneven, but she refused to give up. Every day she practiced. Every mistake became a lesson. 10 years later, at the age of 72, her paintings were displayed in a prestigious art exhibit. People marveled at her work, unaware of the struggle behind each masterpiece. Helen had proven that success isn't measured by time but by persistence. Dreams have no expiration date. Whether it's learning a new skill, starting a business, or changing your life, patience and dedication will always lead you forward. What dream have you been postponing? It's never too late to begin. But as we chase our dreams, it's important to remember that true success isn't just about what we achieve. It's about what we cherish. That brings us to our final story. True wealth isn't measured in money. James had spent his entire life chasing financial success. From a young age, he worked tirelessly, determined to build an empire that would secure his future. He owned luxury cars, a sprawling mansion, and more money than he could ever spend. To the outside world, he was the definition of success. But deep inside, something felt missing. As the years passed and his hair turned gray, James began to notice something unsettling. His wealth had grown, but his connections had faded. His children, now adults, were too busy with their own lives. The grand estate he had worked so hard to build felt empty, its halls echoing with silence rather than laughter. One day, his granddaughter visited him and asked, "Grandpa, tell me a story from when you were little." That simple request opened a door James hadn't realized was closed. As he shared memories of his childhood, his happiest moments weren't tied to money or success, but to family, love, and experiences. It was then he understood. True wealth isn't in bank accounts, but in the moments we cherish with those we love. What truly makes you feel rich? Take time today to appreciate the priceless moments in your life. Life's greatest lessons often come from those who have lived it the longest. Through these 5 stories, we've been reminded of timeless wisdom. Time is more valuable than money. True relationships require effort. Happiness comes from letting go. Patience leads to success. And real wealth is found in the moments we share with loved ones. As we rush through our busy lives, it's easy to overlook what truly matters. But wisdom teaches us to pause, reflect, and cherish each day. Imagine yourself years from now. What memories will you hold closest? What regrets will you wish you had avoided? Now, take a moment to think about the elders in your own life. What lessons have they shared with you? Have you taken the time to truly listen? Their words, their experiences, and their love are gifts we should treasure before it's too late. If these stories resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Story. Let's continue to honor the wisdom of our elders and pass down these life lessons for generations to come. What's the greatest lesson an elder has ever taught you? Share it in the comments below.